everyone. Today I'm participating in the monthly Keep It Simple Sunday Challenge hosted by Melissa from Melissa Makes It DIY, and her co-host this month is Naush. So please go and check out their videos, and if you're coming from their channel, welcome, thank you, hopefully you'll join the family. So today I've got a fall wreath that I'm making. And I've got some 21-inch deco mesh, 10-inch deco mesh, some ribbon that I bought from Craft Outlet, that little metal pumpkin with the bike on it, and this 14-inch wreath frame. So the wreath frame is from Dollar Tree, and what I'm showing you here is the crossbars. 2 crossbars, and in between that is a section. So I've got the outer ring, the 2 middle rings, and the inner ring. So I'm taking 1 chenille stem and attaching it to the inner 2 rings, and then I will take 2 chenille stems and attach 2 of them to the outer 2 ring. So each section gets 3 chenille stems, and there's 6 sections, so it's a total of 18 chenille stems that you'll need. And this is what it looks like. So once I go and have all that completed, this is what it looks like. And I did forget to mention that I will be using a couple of zip ties, and that's to help me keep the end of the deco mesh down. So I got this deco mesh. It's 5 yards, and that's what I want to really show you. It was $1 at the Dollar Tree maybe about a year or 2 ago, and they haven't had any since. But this is actually pretty good deco mesh. So I'm just gathering the deco mesh and making sure that it's pretty even. Now you really have to do that because you don't want to zip tie it to the frame. So I'm zip tying it to the crossbar, but you got to make sure that it's all in there evenly. Otherwise, what I've done in the past, zip tied it and realized there's half of mine that's not even, so it wasn't inside the zip tie, so I had to redo it. Then all I'm going to do is take my scissors and just give it a nice clean cut. You don't have to do that, it's covered up anyways, that's just for my own sanity. Now you want to make sure that the ends, or the sides, excuse me, of the deco mesh are curling under. This will help give you the poof. So I'll start at the 0 mark and measure 9.5 inches. So the reason I'm doing that is because normally a roll of 21-inch deco mesh is in 10 yards. And with this being from Dollar Tree, you know, sometimes they come a little short. So typically I do 10-inch poofs, but I'm testing this out and trying to do 9.5-inch poofs. So I just measure from 1 chenille stem, measure out 9.5, attach it to the next chenille stem, and then you can either poof out your poofs as you go, or you don't have to. So here I've done all of the bottom, and I want to show you that even from the bottom, I'm going to go straight up to the top, okay, and I'm still going to measure out the 9.5 inches. Now I know if you watch some other wreath makers make their videos, they glue down their chenille stems or they measure things out. I honestly don't measure the distance between, because once you've got it completely full, it's all going to even out, be evenly distributed. So you don't have to worry about gluing it down and gluing the chenille stems down so it don't move. And so I'm just going to continue the process with my 9.5-inch poofs, and here's what I'm actually left over with. It's a pretty good amount. Glad I went with the 9.5, because if I went with the 10, I definitely would not have had enough. But typically this is where I would zip tie it down, but because of the way it looked in that little area it was a little skimpy. So I just decided to curl it under and have it blend in with the other deco mesh. So here is my 10-inch deco mesh that I got from Craft Outlet. And I'm just gonna cut the frayed ends, make it straight, and I'm gonna do 12-inch cuts on these. And I'm gonna take it with the curl side down, and I'm gonna walk my fingers up the middle, and I'm just making a ruffle. Now the reason I chose to go with 12 inches is because you can actually use this and the deco mesh and get the 18 cuts for this wreath. But if you've ever done a swag, I do swags, and I actually can make the other 12 cuts and use it on my swag, and it's perfect. So I can basically get 2 projects out of 1. So here I'm showing that I hot glued the chenille stems to the metal sign, and then I cut my ribbon at 14 inches and I dovetailed them. So all I do is place one on top of the other, fold it in half to find the middle, and then I just pinch the ribbon inward. And then I'm using my thumb and my pointer finger, excuse me, I'm tongue-tied, and I just kind of give it a curve. And then once I add it into the chenille stem, I just roll it under. You can cut them off if you want to, however you choose to do it, but I like to roll it under in case I want to redo my wreath. Then I have the chenille stems there, and I don't have to worry about replacing them. So I'll just add these ribbons to all 18 of the chenille stems. Now I tell you, I really lucked out because I had bought this ribbon from Craft Outlet a couple months ago, and I didn't have a bicycle. I didn't, honestly, I didn't really know what I was going to pair the ribbon up with. Maybe like the Dollar Tree Hello faux wood sign, but then I saw that metal sign with the bike from the Dollar Tree, and oh my goodness, I knew I had to get it just for this wreath. So I will tell you, now I had used the Gorilla Glue on this metal sign, and it didn't work. I was skeptical when I did it, but then thankfully it came off as I was trying to attach the sign. So what I did, and I don't show, is I took some scrap pieces of ribbon that I had cut off from when I dovetailed the ribbon, and I hot glued that to the sign, and then I hot glued the chenille stems onto the ribbon. So that worked a lot better. Just gave it something extra to hold on to. Yeah, and see, there it is where they came off. So I was like, oh, all right. I was just thankful that it, you know, came off there than if I were to sell this. So well, I guess maybe I do show it. Oh, sorry. I didn't think I did show it. But yeah, here's where I just attach the little scrap ribbon, and then I'll attach my chenille stems to it. Now I will say I do have an Etsy store, and this will be up for sale on my Etsy store. My prices are not very expensive. I really make these wreaths just for my hobby. I love making them, but if I didn't try to sell them or give them away, then my whole house would be covered in wreaths. So in my craft room, I actually have wreaths hanging on the walls, if that's any indication of how many wreaths I have. But yeah, you could always just stop by and see all the other wreaths that I have made. And then I did put together a wreath playlist on my channel, so if you like to see some of the other wreaths as well, be sure to check that out. So here I'm just taking my ribbon and I am cutting it at 30 inches. So I'll end up doing 3 strips of 30 inches for each of the 3 ribbons that I have here. And what we're going to do is we're going to be making our bow. And I will say too, if you like this, go down to my description box and I'll put a link to my recently created fall swag. You could check that out and see if you like that as well. So here, after I've made all my cuts, I have 9 cuts in total. I'm just folding them all in half, and then I will start to collect them in order to make a ribbon. I mean, a bow. It is a ribbon. Now, when I do my bows, I always used wired ribbon. And be sure that you use good quality ribbon. Dollar Tree does have some ribbon that's actually good quality, but they also have some that's not so good. So what I'm doing is I'm just measuring out 6 inches from the folded end, and then I'm pinching that and just placing it into my hand, and I'm just layering each ribbon right on top. Now, really, just because my OCD, I put the ribbon the way I did, just because it's a plaid, 2 plaids, and then the pattern. But you don't really have to do that. It's not going to make a difference when you make your bow, because you're going to be spreading out all the loops and the tails. So again, it's not going to really matter what order you put them in, as long as you put one of each, make a set, and then add those together. So I'm taking my chenille stem, and at the 6-inch mark, I am putting it on there pretty tight. You've got to be able to put them on there really tight. And then what I do is I pull the tails in half, and then I'll bring that chenille stem down the middle on both sides, and then again I'll do a really good twist. That way it's in the right placement for me to add it to my wreath. Now here's how you dovetail. You just fold the ribbon lengthways in half. You start from the folded edge. I typically like to go 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch down on the folded edge, and then cut up towards the corner. However far down you make your cut on, or you start your cut on the dovetails, makes a difference on what your dovetail is going to look like. If you like the deeper looking ones, or if you like the shallow ones, it really just depends. I personally like the deeper ones. That's why I go down so far. But if you don't like them so prominent, then by all means you can start at 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch. whatever your preference. And so once I got it, then I am just fluffing out all the loops and trying to arrange them where they're just all sporadic, spread out nice and evenly as possible. This to me is the most satisfying part of making a bow, is the finished product. It is just so beautiful. I love these fluffy bows. Now, if you see here, I've got a pattern on one end and not the other end. So what you want to do is you want to twist your tail to make sure the pattern is showing upward. And that's just what I'm doing. Now, on the red and green plaid one, that is the same on both sides, so you don't have to worry about it. The other thing that I want to tell you that's so important is on these bows as well, is make that curve like I did with the tails that I added to the Chanel stems. Make that curve in the tails, and it helps to make the bow stand up and be a lot more fluffy, and it's just so adorable. So here I'm just trying to find a good spot to attach my bow, and then once I have, I just turn it around and attach it, and I just fluff it out again because it got a little smushed. And again, I like fluffy bows, so as you see, I'm just using my thumb and my pointer finger, and I just kind of curved the tails under. Excuse me, I'm sorry, my allergies are really bothering me today. So now that I had the bow all nice and pretty, then I'm going to take my sign and I'm going to attach my sign to the wreath. And then I will be finished. Now you can always go back and add more embellishments on here. You could add little pumpkins, you could add flowers, whatever else that you like, greenery, and you can just add them. To me, I think that most of the time the ribbon is already so much that it's just so pretty, and I typically don't add anything else, not to the deco mesh wreaths. Now these wreaths do come out very nice and full, and they measure approximately 23 to 24 inches. So here's the finished product. I really enjoyed making this wreath for you guys. I hope you have a blessed day, and thank you for stopping by.